we're going to review the questions from the first quiz, quiz 1. Now, the order of the questions we have here may be different than the order of the questions that you saw them, but there were 12 questions in total, and we'll go through each one of the 12 questions. So the first question is, you see a penny on the sidewalk, and should you bend down and pick it up? What are the principles of economics that help you decide this? Well, the correct answer is cost and benefit. We know from the question they're asking us, should we do it? And we have to make a decision. So whenever we're deciding something, we're always weighing cost and benefits. In economics, it's marginal cost and benefits, but it's the cost and benefits. Now, it's true that economics is about scarcity, and certainly we're concerned about resource utilization. But those are the best answer, the most correct answer for this question is that the thing that can help us decide whether we should bend down and pick it up is the cost and benefits. Now, you may be saying, well, what's the cost of picking up a penny? Well, you have to expend some calories to bend down and do that. You might fall over and mess up your clothes or bump your head. You might hurt your back. So there's everything has a cost and a benefit, and that's really the point of this question. And even something as simple as bending down and picking up a penny has a cost and a benefit. So that's the correct answer to this question, the comparison of costs and benefits. Now, as an aside, it's interesting to note that the penny may not be around very long. There's been discussions going on over the last decade or so about getting rid of the penny, that it costs too much to make, and the way that prices work today, there's not much use for pennies. They mostly wind up in jars on bookshelves. But be that as it may, for the time being, the penny will be around. And if you see one on the sidewalk, you should think if it's worth the cost. Is the benefit of that penny worth the cost of picking it up? The second question, is there economics on the planet Mars? Choose the answer that's most correct. Now, there were two correct answers for this question. The first correct answer is no. There's no economics on Mars because there's no people on Mars. Economics is about people. If you don't have people, then how can you have economics? And so that is one of the two correct answers. The other correct answer is that yes, there is economics on Mars because people on Earth have used resources to send unmanned spaceships to Mars to take photographs, to collect samples, and to explore the planet. So in that sense, Mars and the service of Mars is part of our economy. You can imagine if we found the cure for cancer or some substance that would give us perpetual energy on Mars, we certainly would go up to Mars and try to bring that back and try to help us. So in that sense, we are connected to Mars, and Mars is just part of our economy. But either one of these answers were correct. No, there's no people, or yes, because we're using resources to go there and to do things. Now, this question is about cost, and in economics, we know that cost means opportunity cost. So on a Saturday night, you can study, go to the library, or go to the basketball game. You can only do one of those. Now, the value of each activity is studying 3, basketball 10, and the movie 5. What is the cost of studying? Well, the cost of studying is the next most highly valued thing we have to give up, which is basketball. So if we didn't study, we'd go to the basketball game. Why? Because it's the most highly valued thing. And so by going to the library and studying, which is a good choice, if you want to do well, the cost of that is you have to give up basketball. Now you might say, well, why isn't it 15? I'm giving up both basketball and the movie, and their answer is because we choose the margin. So we don't really choose between studying and basketball. Studying and basketball or the movie. We value basketball higher. If we're not studying, we're going to basketball. The movie's already been decided. That's already out. And so that's the real choice between the two things that we're talking about. The thing that we're choosing and the next most highly valued thing that we didn't choose. And that next most highly valued thing we didn't choose is the is the cost of the thing we did choose. So the cost, what's the cost of studying? It's 10, which is the value of basketball, the next most highly valued thing. Here's the same example, but we're now asking, what is the cost of going to the basketball game? Well, here it changes a little bit because the thing I'm giving up here is not now studying, it's going to the movie. That's the thing I value the next most highly. So the cost of going to the basketball game is 5. It's the value of the thing I'm giving up that I value the next most highly. That's going to the movie. And again, it's not 8. We're not adding the two things together. We're not doing. It's not the value of studying and going to the movie, but just the value of going to the movie. That's the thing I really decided when I was making my decision. That's the other thing I was really considering. And so that was a choice between the two, basketball and the movie. I chose basketball. The cost of going to basketball is I'm not going to do the movie, which has a value of 5. And by the way, for those of you new to Baltimore, the Senator Theater on the right-hand side is an old movie theater. I believe it goes back to the 1930s, and it's really a wonderful place to see movies. It's on York Road, just below Northern Parkway. Which of the following is not a source of economic growth? Well, we know from our textbook Parkin and from our class lectures that capital accumulation and technological change are both ways that we can increase the production possibilities frontier, both ways that we can achieve economic growth. And we know from Adam Smith and the division of labor that specializing, dividing labor, and specializing by function is also a way that we can use the same amount of resources to be more productive. So if we have further increases in dividing labor and specialization, we can also increase economic growth. And so the correct answer here, the one that's not a source of economic growth, is moving to a point on the production's possibility frontier that we prefer more. And mind you, all the points on the production possibilities frontier are equally productive. And so we may prefer more of one to another, but that's really just about our preferences and the different combinations. But there's not more, if we move to a different point on the same curve, on the existing curve, there's not more produced. It's just a different combination produced with the resources. So moving to a point on the production possibilities frontier that we prefer more is not a source of economic growth. And we can see here that it relates to this question. Economic growth does not involve moving from point A to point B, different points on an existing production possibilities frontier, but it involves moving from A to A2 or B to B2 on a completely new production possibilities frontier, which is farther out than the existing one that we're on. And so the way we can increase our production possibilities frontier tomorrow is through technological change, capital accumulation, and further increases in specialization and the division of labor. Now, here's a question. You're out with friends having pizza. All the pizza you ordered is gone. You want one and only one slice of pizza in addition. Because you're in Baltimore and the restaurant maybe doesn't offer slices, you have to buy a whole pizza pie, which costs $12. There's 8 slices to a pie. The pizza pie costs $12. So if you order that additional pizza, you're only going to eat one more slice and no more. And no one else in your party wants any more pizza also. You've asked them, they said, no, we're done, no more pizza. So the question is, what is the cost of that additional slice of pizza in these circumstances? And the answer to this is $12. Because remember, we're talking when we're weighing costs and benefits, we're talking about the marginal costs and marginal benefits, the incremental costs and benefits. And so from the standpoint of this decision, when we're making it, in order to get one more slice of pizza, which is all we're getting really, because that's all we want, we have to spend $12. The incremental cost is $12. The incremental benefit is the additional slice of pizza. They're going to give us a whole pie, but we only want one, so the marginal benefit is one slice of pizza. So the cost of that additional slice of pizza is $12. And of course, this is different than the way that accountants handle this. They wouldn't do it that way. But for economists, when we talk about costs and benefits, it's marginal costs and benefits. What are the costs associated just with that incremental decision that you're making? And so the additional slice of pizza, which comes in a whole pizza pie, costs $12. We take the same example after you've eaten your slice of pizza. You've ordered the additional pie, you've got the additional slice of pizza, and what happens? Well, somebody else says they want a slice of pizza. Now there's 7 slices left. Somebody who didn't want any before now wants a slice. And so you ask yourself, what is the cost of that slice of pizza? The one slice of pizza that's going to go to the additional person in your group. And the answer to that is 0. The reason, again, is because we're talking about costs. It's marginal costs. Marginal costs are the incremental costs, and they're always forward-looking. So anything you spent in the past doesn't really matter. It's not part of the marginal costs. The 7 pieces of pizza are there. If somebody wants to have another slice, what does it cost? It costs nothing. It's 0. And we have to differentiate here between the cost and the price. You may decide to charge that person $6. Or even $9 or $12 or whatever you'd like. But that's the price of what you're charging that person. The cost to you is 0 because the costs have already been borne there in the past, and so they're not part of this particular decision. The cost is 0. Now going back to our original example when we said the cost of that one slice is $12, how do we know this? Well, we know this through observation. If we were in a situation like that, and we had to spend $12 and we thought we only wanted to get one slice, we probably wouldn't get it. Why would we not get it? Because we wouldn't want to pay $12 to get one slice of pizza. Most of the time, we wouldn't do that. Now, here we have Will and Grace. They're farmers. In Will's field, he can grow 25 bushels of corn and 10 baskets of beans. In Grace's field, she can grow 25 bushels of corn and 50 baskets of beans. Who should grow corn and why? Well, the answer to this question is, and first of all, notice that Will and Grace are equal at growing corn. They can both grow 25 bushels of corn. Grace is 5 times more productive at growing beans. She can grow 50 baskets of beans, and Will can only grow 10. So, who should grow corn and why? And the answer is that Will should grow corn. And why is that? Is it because he has an absolute advantage? No. The reason is because he has a comparative advantage. It's the thing that he's the least worst at. We're giving up the least by having Will grow corn because, God, if he grew beans, we wouldn't have that much. The total product wouldn't be that much because he's so bad at beans. We want to keep Will away from beans. In economist language, we say this is comparative advantage. When we ask people to do the things that they have the lowest cost of doing, the lowest opportunity cost of doing. We would be giving too much up if we had Will grow beans because he's so bad at it. And so in this way we minimize the cost and we have Will grow corn, and the reason is not because he has an absolute advantage. In this case, they actually have an equal productivity at growing corn. It's because he has a comparative advantage. That's the reason. Comparative advantage tells us how to run off the division of labor, not absolute advantage. And so here's the same example. We say, who should grow the beans and why? Well, Grace has a comparative advantage in beans. She's 5 times more productive. She can grow 50 baskets of beans in the same time that Will can grow 10 baskets of beans. So Grace has an absolute advantage to Will in growing beans. And so Grace should grow beans, but not because she has an absolute advantage. It's because she has a comparative advantage. We're giving up the least amount by having her grow beans. She can do it at the lowest opportunity cost. And so the answer is that Grace should grow beans, and the reason is because she has a comparative advantage. Now, it's true she has an absolute advantage, but that's not the reason why. Comparative advantage is the reason why, because comparative advantage is the thing we look at as economists when we want to understand the division of labor and who should do what. Country A is more productive at producing all products when compared to country B. Who's better off if they decide to trade? Well, trade, as long as it's voluntary, is mutually beneficial. All people benefit from trade. This is true whether it's individuals trading things, or companies trading things, or countries trading things. This is a universal principle. Trade is mutually beneficial. Both parties are always better off after trade. Why? Because they wouldn't make the trades if they weren't better off. And trading allows us to have access to products and services that we wouldn't be able to without trading, and it allows countries to live beyond their production possibilities frontier. They can by specializing trading, more can be produced in total, and then we can trade. And each country has more after we trade than we had before trade. So trade is always mutually beneficial. Everyone benefits from trade. Here we have a productions possibilities frontier question. On this particular production possibilities frontier, there's 3 points on the line, A, B, and C. Point A has a marginal cost of 40 and a marginal benefit of 20. Point B has a marginal cost of 30 and a marginal benefit of 30. Point C has a marginal cost of 20 and a marginal benefit of 40. The question is, which points are production efficient? The answer is all 3 points, A, B, and C. Why? Because production efficiency talks about using resources to their fullest, and all points on a production's possibilities frontier are production efficient. And they're all equally production efficient. They may involve different combinations of goods, but in the end, they're using the resources to the fullest. We can't get any more of one good without giving up some of another good, and that's the definition of production efficiency. All the business about marginal cost and benefits is not really relevant to production efficiency. The fact is, if the points are on the line, they're production efficient, and they're equally production efficient. So in this case, point A, B, and C, they're all production efficient. Now we have the same data, but we ask the question, which points are allocation efficient? And only one of the points is allocation efficient. So allocation efficiency talks about a point that is production efficient, so it has to be on the line that we prefer the most. So one of these points, A, B, or C, which is the one we prefer the most, and it happens to be point B, where the marginal cost and the marginal benefit are equal. This is the point of optimality. So when the marginal cost and the marginal benefits are equal, we have the optimal balance between two goods. When marginal costs are greater than marginal benefits, we've consumed too much of something, and that would be in point A. The marginal costs and marginal benefits the marginal costs are greater than marginal benefits. We've consumed too much of something. We would be better off. We would prefer it more if we consumed less of one thing and more of another. When the marginal benefits are greater than the marginal costs, that sounds like a good thing, but in fact it's not, because we haven't consumed enough of something. We again would be better off if we consume more of one good and less of another. And the optimal point, the one that is the one that we prefer the most, is the one where the marginal costs and marginal benefits are equal. In this case, it's point B on the line. Point B is the one that is allocation efficient. It's the one we prefer the most because it's the point where the marginal costs and the marginal benefits are equal. And we can see, again, here on our line, we don't have marginal costs and benefits noted, but point B would be the one that is optimal and has and as a result is allocation efficient. So this is the summary of our first quiz, quiz number 1.